When China's Communist Party members met recently at the National Congress in Beijing, President Hu Jintao did something that had never been done before. He added the word religion to the Communist Party constitution. President Hu called the move an historic moment and challenged the party to view religion as a source of economic and social stability.
I don't think the foreign missionaries who served in China in the old days could have ever imagined that such a thing could happen.
Jiao Xiao, a senior government economist, was watching the political proceedings that day from his office on the outskirts of Beijing.
The window in China is opening more and more. Yes, the economy is the big story, but the other story is that we're seeing a moral and religious revival. And the government recognizes this.
In 2002, Jiao went on assignment to the United States to discover the secret of America's economic success. What he found changed his life forever.
After my trip, I wrote an essay entitled Market Economies with Churches and Market Economies Without Churches. I discovered that Christianity was the reason for America's success.
Jiao was an atheist and a former Communist Party official when he wrote that paper.
Anybody got something broken in your life today?
He later converted to Christianity after reading the Bible. His essay today is one of the most widely read articles on economic reform.
I meet people in the upper echelons of government, and I tell them that China will prosper and be a blessing to the world if it embraces the message of the cross.
And there's evidence that the government is taking a closer look at how Christianity and other religions can create what party officials call a more harmonious society. Yuxin Li pastors one of the largest government-sanctioned churches in Beijing.
So, for example, the government knows Christianity is not a threat to China. They know Christians are law-abiding citizens and can be good role models for society.
This today is Communist China's new and global manifesto, militant and menacing.
It's a far cry from the days of the Cultural Revolution when churches, temples, and mosques were burned down by authorities. Pastors and Christians were routinely arrested and labeled counter-revolutionaries.
The Chinese government had one goal in mind then: destroy all religions.
Decades later, Chinese government data and international surveys report millions of Chinese people are flocking to religions like Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, and Islam. Brian Grimm is documenting the rise of spirituality in China.
We found that as many as 1 in 2 Chinese people consider religion important in their lives, whereas only 1 in 10 Chinese consider religion not at all important in their life.
And the religious appeal stretches across all segments of society, including members of the political class.
We found that among various occupational groups surveyed in China who were expressed an interest in learning more about religion through media, that Communist Party and government employees expressed the greatest interest in learning more about religion.
Years of chasing prosperity and profitability have left many Chinese people here searching for more. Benny Yang writes frequently about Christianity in China.
People's focus start to looking for some intangible things to satisfy their own, the requirement of their soul after they satisfy the requirement of their body.
This is one of the oldest Catholic churches here in the city of Beijing. In fact, it was originally built back in 1655. 30 years ago, the Chinese government banned all religious activity. Well, today, freedom of religion is guaranteed under China's constitution, which allows millions of Chinese believers to worship at state-approved churches, mosques, and temples. But it is Christianity that's experiencing the most dramatic growth, especially in the unregistered so-called underground churches. Unofficial figures put the number of Chinese Christians at around 130 million people.
It seems to be a government recognition that religion's growing, Christianity's growing, and they're not taking steps to try to stamp it out.
Perhaps, but let's be clear, the government still maintains a tight grip on religion. Todd Nettleton monitors religious abuses in China. He says the old communist tactics of torture, arrests, imprisonment, and beatings are still practiced, especially against Christians who are not registered with the government. Still, he's encouraged by the government attempts to understand people of faith.
Is it a sign that all is good and wonderful with the Chinese church? No. The issue is still control, but it is good that at least the Communist Party is recognizing that religion has a role to play in Chinese society.
And in another potential sign of government outreach, a London newspaper reports that Chinese officials recently held secret talks about the explosive growth of Christianity with leaders of the underground church. A small step that Zhao and others hope will bring greater recognition for the positive role that Christians play in China.
God wants us to be good examples so that China, like America, can one day be a city on a hill that shines the love of Christ for all to see. That's my prayer for China.
George Thomas, CBN News, Beijing.